Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
And welcome back, everybody. It is a part of our body we don't really pay a lot of attention to. We just take it for granted as to what it's doing, but it's vital in regulating metabolism, hormones, and that's pretty much something that affects every cell in your body. I am talking about the thyroid and some challenges and conditions associated with that. Surprisingly, or actually, I shouldn't be surprised because every time we get together with her, I learn that more and more things, challenges in our health can be taken care of with acupuncture. So we're going to talk with her today about that. She's got such deep knowledge as an acupuncturist, and so great to have her back with us. She also practices Chinese medicine and herbals and more. Dr. Kelly from New York City is back on the program. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good, Steve. How are you doing?
Real good, real good. And again, I had no idea that challenges related to this now can be helped with the use of acupuncture. So where do we start here? Hyperthyroidism is something that quite a few of us experience, right?
Yes, yes. Actually, in Chinese medicine, we have a different definition about, all kind of the medical terms. So hyperthyroidism basically means your thyroid is on a hyper kind of like stage, right? So you excrete your body have too much hormone, thyroid hormone. But in Chinese medicine, we don't treat hormone, but we treat patterns. Like for example, we have phlegm qi stagnation. We have like yin deficiency with yang hyperactivity. So different kind of pattern have different causes and different symptoms, but we treat with different acupuncture points or herbal formulas, but they are pretty effective. We can take one of the pattern, for example, like phlegm qi stagnation.
What would be the cause, in your experience, or one of the causes for a thyroid to go in a hyper state? And I just also want to put a little spotlight on stagnation because you've said that word quite a few times when we've gotten together.
Yes, like let's take the pattern of phlegm qi stagnation as an example. So the causes can be like the weakness of spleen or emotional constraint. So both of these can lead into phlegm accumulation in the neck. So the symptoms can be like swollen neck or goiter. People can also have the mood swing, like either depression or irritability. People may have anxiety, they may have palpitation, they may even feel something in their throat, kind of like feel something in their throat, make them uncomfortable. So these kind of people, if you look at their tongue is greasy. This greasy usually means if you look at your tongue in the mirror. So the tongue coat is it's kind of like a little bit thicker and also kind of like greasy means the color usually is kind of like a gray color, but thick and kind of like have the phlegm accumulation showing on the tongue. So, and if you check their paws can be like very or slippery because the phlegm accumulation in the body make the paws slippery. We have very good formula called the 海藻玉胡汤 can treat it. So in the formula, we have like herb can target on the goiter, can basically disperse the nodules in the neck. And acupuncture points are also very helpful. We have points on the neck. We also have the points target on the phlegm qi stagnation. We basically disperse the phlegm. We transform the qi. So you will feel better and your goiter may totally disappear and your swollen neck will get better, your mood swing will getting better. If after a few sessions you check your tongue, the tongue will change.
And it goes right back to what you've told us previously in terms of assessing or diagnosing someone, viewing the tongue. How simple. And it's funny in my mind because I remember back in the day when you would go to the doctor, your primary, that was one of the things they did. They open wide. Tongue depressor comes down. They check your throat. They check your tongue. Um, Honestly, I don't see that being done so much anymore. Hardly ever. Maybe they check your blood pressure, but rarely check your pulse, which is another indicator, as I've learned from you. So let's say you identify stagnation or a challenge that's connected to the thyroid. Where do you put the needles in? Is it going in the thyroid? Is it going in that area, or not even close?
Uh, that's a very good question, Steve. So where the needle is gonna go in? We have points called local points or usher points, basically where you have problem is. Like for example, if you have goiter in the neck or you have swelling in the neck, we can put some points just in the neck where the goiter is. I have been treating, a lot of patients who have goiter, and it's pretty effective because they don't want to do surgery. If they go to their medical doctor, usually they will like, oh, let's do a surgery, let's move it. But they don't want to do the surgery easily because now more and more people realize surgery is great when you have a certain condition, but surgery also can have a side effect, right? So a lot of patients realize the surgery can give, side effects. So they don't want to do surgery. So they come to me because acupuncture, is the needle is so thin, but needle is very powerful. We can get into where, the nodule is, we can disperse it with acupuncture needle. But on the same time, we will also target on the root. Like Steve asked me, right? What's the causes, right? The causes is because you actually have your spleen qi deficiency, your spleen is weak. We will tonify your spleen because in Chinese medicine, spleen, spleen's function, one of the function is transform, right? When your spleen is weak, you cannot really transform the nutrients we are taking in. You may end up have phlegm accumulation. One of the condition can be the phlegm accumulated in the neck. Then you have the nodules. So in Chinese medicine, it basically just phlegm. So we transform that phlegm. That's how we treat goiter, how we treat hyperthyroidism.
In your opinion and experience, would you say that a fair majority of people might not have to have their thyroid removed if they addressed other issues, and maybe that could start with acupuncture?
Yeah, so doesn't matter like what you come in for, we always trace back to the root, right? Like
Right.
for example, yesterday I have a patient came in. She said she had coughing for like about several days. I look at her tongue. I said, your tongue never be so greasy and thick and yellow. What happened? So
Mm.
because every time when patient come in, I take picture of their tongue. So I keep records. Like I can see the change.
Wow.
So I'm like, your tongue never be so greasy and thick and yellow. So she told me, something happened and she went to medical doctor, they gave her some antibiotics, blah, blah, blah. So I'm like, okay, that makes sense because the tongue totally changed. Her tongue never be so bad before, but because a couple of things happened, her tongue just totally changed. So I treated her, I gave her some herbal formula, So she felt better, after treatment, but it's gonna take, maybe a couple of days also. So I gave her some herbal formula. So next time when she come in, I will take a picture again about the tongue. I will see the change. So the tongue tell us a lot.
Wow. You've said the spleen a number of times today. You've said it in the past as well. Is the spleen responsible for, or spleen having a challenge, responsible for a lot of the health issues that we have?
Spleen is very important. I have a lot of responsibility. So one of the function in Chinese medicine, spleen is transformation and transportation. So we call it TNT. So basically, when we eat something, spleen need to transform the food we are taking in into the substance our body can use, basically qi and blood, right? If your spleen is not strong enough, your spleen cannot really do the job. You eat like meat, you eat fish, or eat sushi, whatever you're eating, but your spleen cannot really transform all the nutrient you are taking in into the qi and blood our body can use. You will have something left, for example, phlegm. Like that's why actually the other day I have a patient coming in, I look at his tongue, I said, "Do you have phlegm?" He said, "Yes, I do." "How do you know?" I said,
Mm.
"From your tongue, I can tell." Because on his tongue, there are some parts bulging up. So I can tell that's the phlegm accumulation in his body. He said, every time I eat something greasy, I will have phlegm. And my wife, she doesn't, but I always have phlegm. I said, yes, I can tell from your tongue. So I said, do you like drink like a lot of cold stuff? He said, yes, I drink cold coffee every day. I said, so you should have phlegm because cold stuff, will damage your spleen. Then I said, how long this has been going on? He said, well, maybe back to college. Oh no, maybe back to when I was in like elementary school because every time when I come back home, I will go to the fridge, grab the cold milk. So since
Wow.
I was little, I already drink cold stuff. I said, let's make sense because milk in Chinese medicine is already on the cooler side and it's from the fridge. So it's cold temperature and cold nature. So I said, you have been touching your poor spleen since you were like little. So let's make sense you have phlegm now. So because it's a accumulation, right? You put something bad on your spleen little by little, now you have phlegm. So
Well, some say that dairy products can increase the production of phlegm. And certainly all dairy products are cold. Let's be honest. Who's going to have milk that's warm? Unless you heat it up, that's different. But many times it's got to be refrigerated, is where I'm going with that. So we just went into some new territory here. And by the way, I share with everybody about the warm beverage. I hardly ever have cold stuff. It's on my radar. Let's put it that way. Ever since I talked with you, but I want to confirm. Did I just hear from you that uh, cold beverages can compromise your spleen? Did you say that or allude to that?
yes, cold. Basically, everything cold can make your spleen weaker. Let's put it in this way. Doesn't matter it's cold water or cold milk. Cold milk even worse because I said milk also cold in nature because milk basically is from blood kind of, right? Blood is yin. Chinese medicine talk about the yin and yang all the time, right? We talk about balance. So in that way, milk is cold in nature. And if you grab it from fridge, it's cold in temperature also. So it's like double cold. So make your spleen even suffer more. If you heat up a little bit, make it warm, at least the temperature is not cold. But if you grab from the fridge, it's cold temperature and cold nature.
Well, it sounds like accumulative because, here's somebody that, he shared, well, I used to drink cold milk all the time, even going back to being a kid. So it sounds like that is going to beat on your spleen. Best way to say it. Every time you have something cold, it's trying to process it. Wow, that's an eye opener there. When you put together how many times you mention the spleen and how important it is for our health, but we don't realize it, and then even just something cold. Now, I just want to get this out there. You have one or two cold beverages occasionally, not a big deal, right? We're talking about as like in this gentleman's example, just cold milk all the time, cold, cold, everything's cold. I can see where, and by the way, now that it's on my radar, thanks to you about cold beverages, I realize that for me personally, it numbs my tongue and I don't get the full flavor. When I have ice cream, it doesn't really taste, there's not like a bam of flavor. It's just like, it's all right because it's cold. When I leave it, and I like it when it gets on, little chill, but closer to room temperature, so much more flavor. That's just me, but that's what I've noticed ever since you talked about not ingesting stuff that's cold or doing on a regular basis. I'm kind of shocked here about the spleen and the cold. Are there other organs in the body that take a hit over time if we consume cold beverages?
Um, yes, actually, in Chinese medicine, we have like 5 elements, right? Like a spleen and stomach is earth, and the heart is fire, lung and large intestine is metal, kidney and UB is water, liver and gallbladder is wood. So these 5 elements actually has the relationship. They can how do you say? They can kind of like help to another, or they can overact on another element. For example, liver can overact on earth, basically can overact on stomach, spleen. That's why when people like who have liver qi stagnation, usually they have like not very good digestion because that would overact on the earth, then your stomach spleen cannot really digest well. Like when you're angry, just imagine you're angry, then you eat a big meal, you cannot really digest very well. You may end up have food stagnation, you have stomach pain. That happen to a lot of people. So these 5 elements overact and help each other also on the same time. So in Chinese medicine, basically they are like 相生相克. So that's very interesting. Steve, you mentioned about it. Like I also learning I Ching. I Ching is very traditional, like Asian Chinese philosophy. So I Ching also mentioned about that. So people like that's like an organ. We need friends, but also somehow we need enemy. Why we need enemy? Because if you only have friends, your friends just say good thing about you. Ah, you are great, you are smart. But the enemy will say something bad about you. They will say, oh, you're not good at organizing. Ah, you're bad about relationship. So when your enemy says something bad about you, actually that kind of like remind you to improve, to become a better person. Same thing as our organ. So our organ also have such kind of mutual relationship. They helping each other, but they also overact on each other. They kind of like in check. So every organ is in balance. None of the organ is just individual, just like dependent. Everyone rely on each other. So when you said if it just when you take something cold, it just hurt the spleen. Of course not, right? Because all the 5 elements have a relationship. They are overacting or acting on each other. So when your spleen not strong enough, you cannot really have your large intestine or your lung, your metal very strong. So you may end up have like coughing, right? So you may end up have shortened breath or asthma. So when your metal is not strong, maybe your kidney or your UB is not very strong. You may have like urinary problem or reproduction problem. So when you just take the cold stuff, it's not only hurting your spleen, you're hurting all the organ in your body because it's a circle. So nothing is just like okay, it just isolated just for this organ. No, it's for your whole body health.
Dr. Kelly, when was the last time you had a really cold beverage?
When the last time, um, it's so funny. I have a patient in my building. He's such a nice. He's very, very nice. So every time when I go to his apartment to treat him, he has a very good coconut water, organic, in his fridge. He will say, "Go to get a coconut water by yourself." I kind of like don't want to say it too much, but I kind of like feel if I reject, it kind of like I feel bad. But I will take it, I will hold it for a while after it's kind of like not so cold anymore. I will take a sip very, very slow. Like, it's like I
Yep.
take time, right?
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
not
you're
cold.
you're ta- you're being intentional about the sip to waste time, or not waste time, but make time move forward as you wait for it to get to room temperature. So it looks like you're drinking it. You're a little tiny sip. You really didn't ingest it, just a little. I get it. Wow.
Yes.
Hmm. For me, it was last night, and I'm going to admit I went to a fast food restaurant. Never do it. I'm going to say it, Chick-fil-A. I love their grilled chicken sandwiches. Very basic. Every once in a while, got to have a little something there. And I love seltzer water, but it came with ice. And I should have said no ice, but I did the same thing you said. I just let it sit there a little bit, had to drive a little bit. Um, Scale of 1 to 10, 10 being consuming beverages cold can really impact your health. 10 being like don't do it. 10, bad idea. Just not very supportive to your body. That's a 10. Where would you put that on a 10 scale? In your opinion. This is not scientific, just your thoughts.
I would I would put it like at least like 8 or 9.
Yeah.
Because if you take your time, like, you take a sip, you let it kind of like getting a little bit warmer, then you swallow it, and maybe not that bad. But if you just like, the sports person, like athletes, they are playing football, whatever, they are so sweat, so thirsty, take out cold water from the, freezer, you just gobble, gobble, gobble the whole bottle. That's really bad.
Mm.
So if that, I will say totally no, zero, don't do that. But
Okay.
if you take your time, uh, it's not too bad when you don't have warm or room temperature water to drink.
We're just about out of time. I want to throw this question to you. If you start consuming beverages that are room temperature or warm, get away from the cold stuff, no ice, all of that. Is it reasonable to think in short time, I don't know, could be a week, 2, 3, whatever, you will start feeling better and noticing better health? Do you think that it's even possible?
Yes, because I do have patients. She used to drink iced coffee, everything cold, everything from the fridge all the time. After she started to see me, I told her about the cold stuff is bad for her. She started to drink less cold beverage. And she told me she feel better, her digesting got better, her other problem got better, even her menstrual cycle more regular, no pain even. So she said she had even no migraine. She used to have migraine very often. Not everything getting better. She's like, oh my God, Dr. Kelly, I never know this. If she knows this, she doesn't need to suffer all the pain she had been suffering for like 40 years.
Wow. Thank you for that. Thank you for today. Very insightful. Learned a lot. Learned a lot. Once again, acupuncture and Chinese medicine. So supportive. Kelly121acupuncture.com is your website. You're located in New York City, obviously, for an acupuncture treatment. got to be in person, but a lot of things you can do virtually in terms of consultation and even herbal medicine and a lot of what we're talking about today. Dr. Kelly, thank you so much for being here today. As always, learned a lot. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Steve.
We'll be right back.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.